Welcome to Captain Commerce. Today from Playa de Muro. In the background you can see Can Picafort. And yes, as always, a beautiful scenery here live from Mallorca with e-commerce and online marketing tips. Have fun with Captain Commerce and don't forget, subscribe and ring the bell. Yes, dear ones, today it's all about Shopify. Yeah, how do I say it? Well, I'm not selling Shopify anymore. No. I've decided for myself internally as a company policy I will not set up any new Shopify shops. I just had such bad experiences with small Shopify shops and with big Shopify shops that I don't have a clear conscience as an e-commerce consultant with now a total of 20 years of professional experiences and really can no longer recommend Shopify in good conscience. Of course, I'm happy to maintain existing customers, existing projects. I also optimize on request. I can well understand when the merchant says, I don't want to change and reinvest now, but I don't create any new projects. I'll tell you today why that is. Yes, for one, I think Shopify's biggest advantage is also its biggest disadvantage at the same time. You have a cloud solution. That means that the complete software, the complete infrastructure is at Shopify and you have no access to it. You have a cloud solution. That means the complete software, the complete infrastructure is at Shopify and you have no access to it. The infrastructure is completely managed by the Shopify data center. That means when there is a major outage, then you're all affected. And that was only a few months ago when we had two major outages. In addition, you have no influence on any program code, which means you are forever stuck on Shopify, their code, their infrastructure, which are not with a hosting solution, for example. There you have access to program codes, access to the servers at any time. If one fails, if the infrastructure breaks down, not everybody gets carried away. In this context, expandability is important. With the supposed advantage that everything is in the hands of Shopify, is further developed there and you don't have to worry about updates, also means that you can have such adjustments as with normal software solutions, first and foremost, for example for German market Shopware. Well, where is the encapsulated solution a disadvantage? I find a big disadvantage are the supposed apps, which are not really apps. They work with API interfaces to read and change data. The apps, however, are completely from third parties. That is, if your high-performance Shopify solution can handle thousands of hits per minute, the app has to be able to do that too. That means that your web store is only as strong as the weakest app. That means with this API, with these hosted apps, which are hosted by other providers, you are always dependent on the fact that also their infrastructure is functioning properly. If an app that is perhaps extremely relevant to your shop fails, it can affect the whole shop, as I myself have already noticed in projects. In addition, these APIs, the interfaces which Shopify provides, have certain limits in order not to overstrain the servers. If these limits are exceeded, the apps are blocked. There are, let's say, 1000 accesses per minute possible, and beyond that, no more. You might not reach these limits in normal use, but in a large marketing campaign you can quickly and easily. You can see if this app takes these restrictions into account or has been programmed to work even with tens of thousands of accesses, just like the Shopify solution itself, and if there are no problems. You can see the app, since it is completely on another server, whether this was considered. This means that they have to urgently improve in the Shopify store to the extent that there's a similar certification procedure as the App Store from Apple and put the apps through some kind of verification. This verification could make sure that the apps are checked in terms of speed, performance load, or even better would be that these apps work directly on Shopify's cloud infrastructure. Yes, I say supposed apps because in my roots I am a passionate programmer. And it also particularly disturbs me that all these apps are only integrated in such a way that they work via JavaScript in the browser. These apps do not run on your server, they run on the browser, on the client's computer. This also means that a search engine like Google doesn't get to see much information from the apps. You can find out yourself by simply switching off the JavaScript function in your browser. You'll see suddenly you don't have cross-selling anymore, or the extended tabs or any other bonus features. Translation apps that are still necessary today, we'll come to that later, won't work without active JavaScript for the most part. Yeah, you realize that's a concern for me because Shopify sells really well and for beginners, for minimal requirements, it's great. But these apps simply can't just run in the browser. All information must be readable by search engines, by Google. So it's a makeshift solution that does not meet professional demands. Yes, I just said it, the functionality is really limited. The solution only meets the requirements of beginners, in my eyes, and you really have to configure a lot of things as an app, and out of the box only the minimal range of functions is really covered. When I compare what I have with a software solution like Shopware from the start, for example, I can create invoices immediately. I don't need an interface, monthly fees or an app. Until recently, not even the basic price calculation was possible. It was also not possible to export that data to Google in a legally compliant way. Many marketing functions are missing. You have to book cross-selling as an app, free products with coupons, various marketing discount campaigns, newsletters. Just compare with what Shopify offers me in terms of functions and what Shopware or another solution offers me. Yes, we're talking about functionality. What is of particular concern to me is the topic of multi-language, multi-currency stores. Here Shopify has recently announced improvement on the Shopify Unite, but in my eyes it was long overdue. You cannot imagine that it is still necessary today, that if I want to set up a shop multilingual, I have either to set up an app that, as I said, works more badly than right with JavaScript, or, according to Shopify's Customer Success Manager, it is necessary that I create multiple shops. That means that I have to keep the product range in both shops on the same level manually, or again, with an app. Yes, but what does this mean for inventories, for example, for price changes, for marketing campaigns? Yes, that's not an acceptable condition, and fortunately Shopify has seen that too, and I want to tell you, 20 years of professional experience also means that I've worked already with simple solutions, as e-commerce wasn't mainstream yet. We're talking about solutions like OS Commerce and XD Commerce, and there it was already possible to use several currencies and to create several languages, and that was many years ago. I'm curious what Shopify still delivers here, but as of today, what you can install, what you can use, I can recommend that to a customer who's thinking about setting up a second language or currency one day. In this respect, I am very curious, but yes, beside the SEO problems, beside the crowd problems, beside the limited range of functions, one of the biggest problems in my eyes for Shopify. What's more, solutions such as Shopware are already more or less designed to comply with German legislation. We have the prefabricated placeholders for terms and conditions, revocation instructions, data protection checkbox, etc. Unfortunately, this is not the case with Shopify. If you would like to check this, just search for tutorials how to make my Shopify shop legal. You have to invest a lot of time in order to comply with the corresponding legal regulations. And this starts with the imprint, which may be done quickly, but is also accompanied by the obligation to indicate, for example, that the prices have VAT included, that shipping costs will be added, etc. So that's in addition to the limited range of functions that you have to deal with a certain legal uncertainty. Although Shopware gives, of course, also no warranty for it, and one is always well advised to talk to a lawyer, or for example to talk to IT Rechtskanzlei, one of my partners. I can write the link to you below in the description. They offer different packages with legal text but also with a profound check of your online shop. And if this limited functionality, limitation of a cloud solution would not be enough, there are also monthly costs that Shopify requires. Commissions you must pay Shopify for each order you place. I recently had the pleasure of working on a Shopify Plus store, which is the premium version of Shopify, and when I first heard about the monthly costs, I almost fell off my chair because I and other agencies for this money offer flawless personal support, including online marketing and further development of the shop. And the best thing is, if you want to save the money once in a while, if you would like to shorten your budget a little, then you just don't contract the agency for this month or cut back on marketing support and save these costs. This is not possible with Shopify Plus, that you are permanently limited with monthly fees and commissions. Yes, I have always paid attention to the economics of the solutions I recommend to my customers and mostly prefer solutions without monthly fixed costs. I really think that Shopify with their Shopify customers offer a good service, but I don't want to have to constantly explain to my customers, we can customize this, I don't have access there. You have to tinker partly to get the desired success. Well, I can't recommend this at all with good conscience. And don't forget, we're just talking about Shopify now. You also have apps that cost money every month. costs rise quickly because every new feature has to be paid for monthly, whereas in a Shopware ecosystem, for example, with an app store, you only pay once. In this respect, this is simply something that my customers could not accept. More costs each month for each function, permanent plus commission. I really cannot recommend that in good conscience. And something else from the developer or project management standing point. As you can imagine, at online shops you also have to work with the test copy for new functions, for example to test designs. The problem with Shopify is you have to work here with a separate shop like for separate languages. So far so good. I have the possibility to change this and more or less comfortably with the theme function. But what about apps? You'll guess I'll have to pay for them every month. Yes, and now you can of course imagine if I have a test copy and have 10 apps, for example, which I need to use my Shopify shop in full functionality, I actually have to license these apps also for my test shop, where monthly costs are incurred. And there I went to Shopify and said, listen, it can't be that I have to pay monthly costs. I pay attention to quality assurance here, have a test shop copy and would like to be able to use the functions here free of charge. Shopify said they have no influence on this. I would have to contact the developers separately, which I did, and most of them were quite flexible and could also unlock the test shop address accordingly. But of course, this is not a viable process. This is also not something I understand by modern e-commerce, that I have to rely on it manually and at the discretion of the developers and otherwise have to deposit my business credit card data as an entrepreneur so that I can test the function. This inevitably leads to the fact that certain apps are not installed in the test area and quality losses occur here. Yes, so far, my dear ones, really a problem. I would say the total cost of Shopify, the setup, the operation, monthly costs, commissions are disproportionate. You have rather investment security if you invest in a software like Shopware which belongs to you, which you can further develop yourself. Of course, Shopify has advantages. You're up and running fast, the trial version is free, you immediately have a sense of achievement. No wonder Shopify's marketing works well in that sense. But in the long run, you tie yourself to a provider without getting out of this fixation, without getting all the data, without being able to change the whole program. And if I want a quick solution, then I can also do that in the hosting area. I told you about cluster solutions in the first episode. Functions announced by the Shopify Unite are all long overdue and I still don't know what it looks like in practice. If it even comes close to a solution like Shopware as an open source version which comes installed for free at many hosting providers with one single click. So for shops that are planned as a long-term solution and have not only a handful of products, sometimes perhaps also want to be in different languages, and also something like invoices or merchandise management should be manageable quickly in a compact solution, I would recommend Shopware at any time. Yeah, dear ones, that was it today here from Playa de Muro. The sun is setting slowly too. As always, live from Mallorca in front of hopefully beautiful scenery. I hope you enjoyed it. The third episode of Captain Commerce is coming to an end. Many greetings from Mallorca. Wish you Captain Commerce.